Hey guys, are you ready for today's January 30th, 2021, 4:30 a.m. Central Time. This is my last attempt at this video, and I've done a lot of takes, and I've continued to do them because I think this is extremely important for everybody to know what's about to happen here. Because this is the first stepping stone, okay? This is difficult to explain in words. Okay, if you, for some reason, maybe it's because I need to sleep, but very easy to understand what's happening here if you knew the whole picture. And I'm about to give it to you. I'm also going to give you an example of how this went down last year and helped Biden get elected because it worked. This devious, manipulative, evil plan that Biden and Harris have cooked up will work, and we will, meaning conservatives, Republicans, will lose the Senate in 2022 if they are successful at doing this. This is a two-pronged approach. Biden deploys Harris to manipulate Arizona and West Virginia public. That's just the beginning. This is what's happening right now, okay? The Senate split 50-50. Harris is obviously the 51st vote. They are going to be bringing up something shortly, and I'll be explaining how that's going to go down on my Patreon account. But they're going to be bringing up something shortly called a reconciliation resolution, okay? And that resolution only needs 51 votes to pass. It does not have a 60 threshold. So they need all Democrats to comply. I do not foresee any Republican willing to vote for the resolution in which has been tossed around. It has not been written yet. It is sitting in committees. They're discussing it and putting it together. Biden said on the way to Marine One that the America Rescue Plan that they've come up with, COVID relief, needs to pass. He doesn't care how it passes, it just needs to pass. Pelosi said it needs to pass. It doesn't matter how it passes, just needs to pass. So what this means is they're going to attempt to use the budget reconciliation resolution that will be created, that's being created as we speak, to pass things that will not pass legislatively on a 60 threshold. COVID relief, minimum wage increase, healthcare crap, bailouts to blue states because they suck at their budgets. All this stuff that is not germane to what a reconciliation resolution usually is will get deployed into this resolution. Harris specifically went to Arizona, and actually, I looked up the interview. She had an interview with ABC 15 Arizona, okay? And I thumbed it down. I could not find the interview that she had with anybody in West Virginia, so I just heard about it. But Jen, the press secretary at the White House, was actually asked by a reporter, hey, why did Kamala Harris target Arizona and West Virginia specifically? And Jen kind of walked around it saying, well, of course, she's going to talk to every state and all this stupid shit. And he was obviously trying to get to the point where I'm going to tell you, except for I'm going to expand on it dramatically. Arizona has a sitting senator, Sinema, okay? They also have Kelly, who was just elected. His term ends in 2 years, by the way. But her target by going to Arizona is Sinema. Sinema will not, and has said, will not vote for certain things, like an increase in minimum wage, like court packing, or even she'll consider it, but she is not willing to break the filibuster and get rid of it, okay? So there's things in this resolution, if it gets to this point, because they're going to attempt to pass it in a different way. Bullshit, they're going to attempt to pass it in a different way. They're going to do this in this way because it is a two-prong approach that will benefit them in two different ways, and I'll give you an example of how it did last year and how Biden got elected, okay? So they're going to stick all this shit in this resolution. They need cinema to come along, okay? So Harris went down to Arizona and spoke to ABC 15 about the Arizona Rescue Plan, how extremely important it is, gave the details of what they want to do for testing and going out to rural areas and getting more of this and more of that and get more vaccines to you and just like, you know, all the bullshit for COVID, right? And so now the Arizona public is aware, who saw this, which is probably thousands, way more than their YouTube channel. Because this only has 1,200 views on it right now. They've got 267 subscribers. I wonder when they uploaded this. Anyway, the people of Arizona now know what is in this America Rescue Plan. Period. End of story. Follow me. She went to West Virginia and did the same thing on a different network because she's targeting Joe Manchin. Joe Manchin is the last, as far as I'm concerned. Sinema's not very moderate at all, but she's in a state, if she wants to continue her political career, she better do what they want her to do, okay? Even though she said she's against a few things. Because Arizona isn't quite a blue state. It's very much purple, but it's not Democrat, okay? So her views are not 100% liberal, but she's not a moderate. Joe Manchin is literally the last moderate in the Senate that I can think of, period, end of story. But he can easily be swayed by Schumer because apparently his backbone is not very strong. But it is on certain things. He's not interested in a minimum wage. He will not vote for court packing. He will not bust the filibuster. He is not interested in bailing out blue states. All kinds of stuff, okay? So she's targeting West Virginia, talking about the same bullshit that she did in Arizona, letting everybody know, again, what's this in this America Rescue Plan. So with that being said, they're going to have pressure on them from their constituents when this type of stuff comes up. And as soon as this budget resolution, because I do not see at all them not, meaning the Democrats, not using this technicality to get what they want done. I don't. Period. This is what, now here's the deal. Let's go backwards for a second. Last year, the House passed something called the HEROES Act. I'm sure many of you heard about the HEROES Act. Biden spoke about it a lot on the campaign trail. Democrats spoke a lot about it everywhere. Twitter, platforms, everywhere. Okay? Interviews, you name it. The HEROES Act was a COVID relief. Okay? It was dead on arrival in the Senate. Period. But here's the deal. The public is stupid. Because Democrats are excellent at messaging. They will lie their ass off, whatever they have to do. Republicans, for some reason, have moral high ground and refuse to lie, but are not good at messaging anyway, because a lot of their messaging are facts, and facts are not as fancy and sexy as yelling and screaming and blaming Republicans and GOP for this or that, or they're going to kill your grandma, or some ridiculous bullshit of how Democrats communicate to the public. Okay? So the HEROES Act circulated in the public. as far as what the Democrats were willing to say it was, which was COVID relief. Well, that talking point stuck because Biden used it very well. The reason the HEROES Act was dead on arrival in the Senate was because, one, it was giving stimulus checks to illegal immigrants. Two, there were a lot of voting reforms, getting rid of voter ID and all kinds of crazy shit. Three, there were huge bailouts to all the blue states who don't know how to manage their budgets. And there was some other goofy shit in that bill too that had nothing to do with COVID. It was a liberal orgasm wish list that passed the House last year called the HEROES Act. That helped get Biden elected because the GOP, apparently, was not willing to negotiate a COVID package. And then Nancy Pelosi obviously comes out after the election and goes, well, we were holding it up because we needed a real president in the White House. But that's beside the point. She was holding up negotiating, okay? She wasn't willing to budge from her HEROES Act. So obviously the Republicans got smashed in the face with that. It didn't really affect them politically as far as getting elected, but it definitely turned some heads to the independents and people that were really hurting, probably some Republicans and stuff like that, knowing the GOP was holding back and not passing COVID relief the House had passed, right? So that's how that happened last year. This year, this is their plan. This resolution needs all 50 Democrat senators to go along with it. Harris will be the 51st vote to pass this. So if the constituents in Arizona and West Virginia do not push hard enough on Sinema and on Manchin, and they don't automatically go with Schumer and vote for this reconciliation resolution, it's going to blow up on social media, on all the networks, newspapers, magazines, phones, headlines, whatever you are attached to. You will hear that these two Democrats are not willing to pass COVID relief, which is going to be in that reconciliation bill, as far as I'm concerned. It will ruin their careers, okay? It will help and of course, because no Republican will go along with it, it's a two-pronged approach. No Republican's willing to go along with it either. So they're going to, in 2022, there's an election coming up for the House and the Senate. They are going to push this against some of the Republicans, like Romney. He won't vote for this anyway, even though he's a rhino. He won't vote for this either. This package is like $1 trillion plus, if not more. Okay, and I'm talking about something that hasn't even been written yet. It's being written in committees. But this is how much I pay attention to politics. It's disgusting how much I know about politics. So with that being said, they're going to say the GOP is not going along with it either, which puts pressure on people like Grassley and all those people who are up for election in 2 years. So this will stick in the mind because Americans obviously have a short-term memory, and they only read the headlines, which is why the HEROES Act got circulation as being COVID only. So the American public is just ignorant and short-circuited. So anyway, this particular issue will stick with the public because of the fact it's COVID, because it has to do with the vaccines, it has to do with stimulus checks and reopening. I mean, this is like a whole other ball game, okay? This is not impeachment that has nothing to touch your life. This has everything to do with your life. And every time you turn something on, computer, cell phone, tablet, TV, you hear about COVID, you can't get away from this bullshit no matter what you do. So this vote, this situation will stick in the minds of voters in 2022. They will have plenty, meaning Democrats, footage of Sinema, Manchin. I'm not even sure if those two are up in 2022. GOP leaders, all kinds of stuff. They'll have plenty of footage to remind everybody about what happened too. So this devious, manipulative, two-pronged approach, an attempt to manipulate Sinema and Manchin to vote for a resolution that will be extremely bloated, that will bail out blue states, raise the minimum wage, do this COVID package crap, a stimulus on top of it, stuff that's not supposed to be in there. It will all be in there. It will be their wet dream liberal package. Okay? It will push their constituents on them, and it will make the GOP look bad at the same time. Two-pronged approach. Get it passed and screw over the Republicans for 2022 if it doesn't. Because obviously the Republicans are going to say, fuck you. This is devious. This first stepping stone step of going directly to Arizona Network local news and West Virginia local news by a vice president, or a president for that matter, is quote unquote rare unless something major is happening in that state. It's always a major national news network, okay? Cable news network. It's not local news. So this targeted approach is brilliant and evil. So they're setting everything up to either go their way or make sure the people who didn't go their way get fucked. And the GOP gets fucked in the meantime. Because they're only going to explain to the public what they want you to know what's in this resolution. They're not going to tell you all the other bullshit like the HEROES Act. They're not going to tell you anything else that they don't want you to know that's in the resolution. The Republicans will be the ones trying to say what's in the resolution and nobody will listen. The Democrats who are getting screwed over will try and say what's in the resolution. They'll get ignored because the Democrats have blowhorns on their fingers for social media and their mouths are louder than anything I can ever imagine. And people believe it. Why people will eat stupid shit up, I don't understand. So this will get twisted in the public, and eventually the entire United States will be manipulated. This is the first stepping stone to go into Arizona, West Virginia. Get ready. It's going to get ugly in the next couple weeks. This is Are You Ready For It? Take care, guys. Have a great morning.